YouTube channel, The Scenic Traveler. My name is Erin, and this week I am in New York. I'm mainly here for work during the week, but then I'm actually staying for the weekend to check out different parts of New York that I haven't seen or haven't been to in a while, and also have some friends in the city that I'm hoping to see outside of work. So come along as we check out different parts of New York. Today we're diving into a place that never sleeps, a city that's bursting with energy and surprises around every corner. Of course, New York City. For this vlog, I spent an unforgettable week soaking up the essence of New York City, from wandering around Manhattan's iconic landmarks to uncovering the quirkiest hidden gems in Brooklyn. I'll take you along as I explore vibrant neighborhoods, savoring mouth-watering eats, and capturing the city's unique charm. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's unlock the magic of New York City together. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Erin, and I have been traveling internationally for over a decade and have now been to over 44 countries around the world. My aim as a traveler is to explore and discover the world's most beautiful places, one scenic route at a time. So one of my favorite parts of New York City is actually exploring Central Park. I know, I'm such a city girl, but I do love being able to step away from the busy streets and just walk in nature, or at least New York City's version of nature. There's something so peaceful about it, especially in the middle of a place like New York. I'm here in the winter, so the park wasn't as lively as it normally is, but honestly it had this quiet beauty to it that I just loved. Walking around, seeing the snow-dusted trees and the frozen ponds, it's like you get to see this completely different side of the city. It's such a nice break from the hustle, and I think everyone should make the time to wander through this park no matter the season. One thing I loved was stopping at Bow Bridge, which always looks so magical with the skyline peeking through the bare trees in the distance. I also made my way to Bethesda Terrace, which felt like stepping into a winter postcard with its intricate architecture and quiet atmosphere. Even in the cold, there's such a charm to Central Park that's hard to put into words. You just have to experience it for yourself. Plus, watching runners and bundled up families strolling by gave the park the sense of life even in the off-season. It's one of those places that make you fall in love with New York all over again. This afternoon I'm at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It is raining out, so it worked out perfectly because I was planning to come here anyway, so I'm spending some time in the museum. The next day, I made my way to the Met, one of the most iconic museums in the world. Just stepping up on its grand entrance felt surreal, and I couldn't wait to dive into everything it had to offer. The Met is massive. It houses over 2 million works of art that span more than 5,000 years of history. So you can easily spend hours or even a full day exploring. The general admission fee is around $30 for adults, but it's pay as you wish for New York State's residents and students. Inside the museum is divided into sections that transport you to different eras and parts of the world. I started in the ancient Egyptian section, which was incredible. They even have an entire temple right in the museum. Then I wandered through the European painting gallery and was completely in awe standing in front of the works of Van Gogh, Monet, and Renoir. There's also an impressive collection of modern art sculptures and even an armor hall filled with the medieval knight suits and weapons. What I love most is that no matter your interests, there's something for everyone here. It's not just a museum, it's a cultural journey. If you go, I recommend picking a few sections to focus on because it's impossible to see everything in one visit. And don't forget to take a breather at the Met's rooftop garden if it's open. It offers stunning views of Central Park and the city skyline, making it a perfect spot to pause and reflect on everything you'd seen. The next day, I got to spend time exploring the Upper East Side and Midtown. The Upper East Side felt so classic New York with its elegant brownstones, tree-lined streets, and high-end boutiques. It's also home to Museum Mile, which is a must for any art or history lover. I didn't have time to visit all the museums, but just walking past landmarks like the Guggenheim and the Jewish Museum made me want to plan another trip back. From there, I headed into Midtown, and it was like stepping into the heart of the city's energy. I made a stop at Rockefeller Center to admire the iconic ice skating rink and where the iconic towering Christmas tree lives during the holidays. Though even in winter, it felt very magical. Of course, I couldn't miss Times Square with its neon lights and buzzing atmosphere. It's very touristy, but there's something about it standing there surrounded by all the lights and energy that's just so quintessentially New York. I even managed to sneak in a quick visit to the New York Public Library, which is as beautiful inside as it is outside. There's something so inspiring about seeing these historic landmarks right in the middle of a modern city chaos. So Saturday in New York. I woke up ready to explore. My hotel was in Tribeca, and I was basically planning to walk everywhere and see as much as I could today. Chinatown was first on my list, and this neighborhood is just incredible. The streets are alive with an energy that's completely unique to New York, packed with markets, restaurants, and shops that have been the backbone of this community for generations. Mulberry Street was buzzing with activity. Vendors were setting up their produce stands, restaurants were preparing to start their day, and you could hear a mix of languages floating through the air. The markets are incredible, stalls packed with fresh produce, tanks of live seafood, and shops selling everything from traditional herbs to kitchen supplies. I love how every block tells a story, the hand-painted signs of family-run restaurants that have been here for decades, the community center. It's a neighborhood that's continuously evolving while maintaining its incredible cultural heritage. Alright, so it's officially the weekend of my week in New York. I spent most of the earlier part of the week just here for work, but now I'm here on my own time, having some fun in New York. I'm staying in Tribeca, Soho area. I had never really explored that area, so I'm excited to stay over there to get some of the good neighborhood vibes there. But now I'm walking to Brooklyn because I have a friend that lives over there, so we're gonna get breakfast. But I've also never been to Brooklyn, so that was on my list to check out as well. I'm walking over the Manhattan Bridge because the Brooklyn Bridge was closed for a running race this morning. So come along with me on my Saturday in New York. And it's nice and sunny out, which it has been gloomy or rainy all week. So I will take this. From Chinatown, I decided to walk across the Manhattan Bridge into Brooklyn. The pedestrian walkway gives you this incredible, unobstructed view of the downtown skyline. You're walking above the traffic with the city sprawling out around you. The financial district skyscrapers to one side and the Brooklyn neighborhood starting to emerge on the other. The bridge itself is pretty industrial. You can feel the subway trains rumbling next to you, see the steel girders up close. It's not the picture-perfect postcard view like the Brooklyn Bridge, but that's what I love about it. You get this raw, authentic perspective of New York, watching the city's landscapes shift with each step. Once I crossed the bridge, I landed in DUMBO, and this neighborhood is just so cool. The cobblestone streets, the old industrial buildings, the way the Manhattan Bridge frames the skyline perfectly between the streets. It's like every corner is a photo waiting to be taken. I wandered around checking out some of the local shops, enjoying how the neighborhood feels both historic and totally modern at the same time. Soon after, I met up with my friend at this amazing little coffee spot near Washington Street. We grabbed some incredible bagels, because let's be real, New York bagels are on another level, and just caught up while taking in the neighborhood. It's one of those perfect New York moments, sitting outside, watching the city move around us. Now in Brooklyn, and I've spent the last couple hours in Brooklyn checking it out, and I met with a friend for a bagel and coffee. We actually went to the Time Out Market in Brooklyn, and now I'm at one of the parks right along the waterfront, and I'm going to go over to Brooklyn Heights, where my friend recommended. It's just really cute to check out and take photos. And then after that, I'll probably walk over the Brooklyn Bridge to get back over to the Tribeca Soho area and try to see where the afternoon takes me. Maybe go to some thrift stores, vintage shops in that area, because I've heard they're really cool. After grabbing coffee and bagels in DUMBO, I wandered over to Brooklyn Heights. This neighborhood feels like a hidden gem. It's got these incredible historic brownstones that look like they've been perfectly preserved from another era. The tree-lined streets are so picturesque with beautiful architectural details on every single building. The promenade is particularly stunning. It gives you this unobstructed view of the Manhattan skyline that's honestly breathtaking. You can see the Brooklyn Bridge, the financial district, all of Lower Manhattan spread out in front of you. It's the kind of place where you can see why so many writers and artists have been drawn to live here over the years. The mix of historic architecture, incredible views, and the sense of calm in the middle of the city, it's quintessential Brooklyn. Now I'm in the East Village. I just came from Brooklyn, where I walked over the Brooklyn Bridge, which was complete madness. So I'm coming over here to have lunch and check out a few shops and just the neighborhood in general. After Brooklyn, I made my way to the East Village, a neighborhood packed with creative energy. The streets are lined with independent shops that range from underground record stores to vintage clothing boutiques and tiny art galleries. Each storefront feels totally unique, the kind of places you won't find in any other city. I wandered through a few shops, grabbing a quick coffee, loving how the neighborhood feels both lived in and constantly evolving. Now I'm in Washington Park checking it out, and I will say this is the best people watching that you could probably have in the area or nearby. It's quite interesting. Washington Square Park was my next stop. That iconic marble arch stands at the center of this space that's pure New York. NYU students studying on the lawn, street musicians playing near the fountain, chess players focused on their game. The park was alive with activity. Performers, artists, locals, and tourists all sharing the incredible public space. Pigeons were scattered across the walkways, musicians were playing their acoustic sets, groups of friends were hanging out on the benches. It's that kind of place that captures everything interesting about the city. Unexpected, vibrant, constantly in motion. I'm now in the West Village, Greenwich Village area. This is probably so far my favorite neighborhood that I've walked around because it reminds me a lot of Lincoln Park in Chicago, which is where I live. It's the cute 3-story houses, all the brick houses, cute restaurants and shops. So I like this place a lot. And I walked past a friend's apartment and accidentally Carrie Bradshaw's apartment that they filmed during the show. So great spot. Then I made my way to the West Village, and honestly, this might be the cutest neighborhood in New York. The streets are so charming, narrow, lined with these beautiful brownstones, trees hanging over the sidewalks. It feels almost like a small town tucked in the city. I love just wandering the streets, checking out the independent bookshops, the little cafes, seeing how each block has its own unique character. Some of the streets are so picturesque, you can see why so many movies and shows are filmed here. It's the kind of neighborhood where you just want to slow down and take everything in. Next up, and as the sun started to set, I walked along the Hudson River. The light was incredible, casting this golden glow over the water with New Jersey's skyline in the distance. The Riverwalk was peaceful with joggers and cyclists passing by, the water reflecting the last bits of daylight. It was the perfect way to end the day of exploring the city. So I've just been hanging out at my hotel for the last few hours. I'm extremely tired because I did 30,000 steps today. I didn't mean to do that, but I did. So I'm not super hungry, but I decided to get a bagel because I'm obsessed with the bagels and all of the tofu cream cheese options they have. So that is what I am having for dinner. Sunday morning, my last morning and afternoon in New York before I head back to Chicago. I am planning to check out the Tribeca West Village area some more. So I stay not too far since I did 30,000 steps yesterday. My legs are a little tired. And then I'm meeting another friend for some bagel and coffee as well. The next morning, I dedicated to exploring Tribeca. This neighborhood is a perfect blend of historic industrial architecture and modern cool. The cast iron buildings, originally warehouses from the late 19th century, have been transformed into incredible loft spaces and high-end residences. Walking along streets like Franklin and Walker, you see these massive warehouse buildings with incredible architectural details, giant windows, intricate brickwork, those classic fire escapes. The area is also known for being home to some incredible restaurants and the Tribeca Film Festival, which Robert De Niro helped establish to revitalize the neighborhood after 9/11. The streets are quieter compared to other parts of Manhattan. With a sense of community, you see locals grabbing coffee, walking dogs, and kids heading to school.
Another day, another bagel in New York. I think I've had one almost every day of here. Yesterday I had two, one for dinner.
From Tribeca, I headed to the financial district to visit the 9/11 memorial. The site is incredibly powerful, those massive reflecting pools where the towers once stood, with the names of those lost carved around the edges. It's a place of profound reflection, showing both the city's incredible resilience and the deep sense of loss from that day. After spending some time at the memorial, I walked along the water's edge. The view of the harbor is stunning. You can see Ellis Island in the distance and the Statue of Liberty standing proud against the skyline. It's a view that really captures New York's history. A gateway for generations of immigrants, a symbol of hope and opportunity. From there, I took the subway back to Tribeca, grabbed my bags from the hotel, and headed to the airport, carrying with me a week's worth of incredible New York memories. And that wraps up my New York City vlog. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more travel guides and tips. Thanks for watching, and happy travels.